hand to God, I was standing in my kitchen getting a glass of water, and you sent me the link for Zencaster. Hand to God, I looked at my phone. I was like, why did Rob just send me a Zencaster link? Moments after right after you
Right
told me you were
after
about
we
to send
just
me.
discussed recording.
Yeah, my
this.
brain just had like a Matrix moment where it like reset. And I was like, what does Rob want to do on Zencaster?
I like the idea that in that world, if I have an idea for a podcast or a show, I wouldn't even set it up. I would just send you a like now I know I can do that. One day I could just send you a Zencaster link and you'll know like you're
Yeah,
in.
I'll just
click in.
Pavlonianly, I'll just click it. Yep. My mouth will water at the same time.
Tomorrowland Transit Authority Metroliner nonstop now departing Rocket Tower Plaza Station for a round-trip Super Skyway tour.
Welcome aboard, TTA travelers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to. What is? I wonder why that's happening. Hold on. Just make sure everything's. Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. They're both moving. Pixel, you got to stop. Great. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tomorrowland Transit Authorities, the Disney podcast where we talk about what. Oh boy.
That was just such a. If you don't, we're a minute and 20 seconds. You just have to break the norm with this one. You just have to start right when this starts because there was such an authentic human moment with you, Rob, where you were like, all right, you're like, you're doing like that Apollo 13 nonsense where you're like flicking switches and like everything's working.
Right.
But then you're like, wait a minute, cat, relax. And then there was a beat and you're like, all right.
It's go time.
The cat listened. All right, let's record.
The cat, by the way, didn't listen, and she's still like losing her mind and playing with the door as if that's the toy. But hey, whatever keeps her happy. Okay, but you can't scratch at the door, Pixel, because that makes noise. Where was I? Oh, right.
TTA podcast.
Yeah, the Disney podcast where we talk about babies, because I have a very special announcement to make. Just this past week, Christine gave birth to her son, Grant. We welcome Grant to the world. Everybody's doing well. I've never done a baby announcement before, so I'm not 100% sure what else I need to include in that. But yeah, we've got another TTA baby.
Do we have a weight and length? Usually that comes along with the information.
Well, I don't know how much she wants to share herself or how much she wants to share at all. That's the thing. I didn't think through. Like, we knew my job was to make the announcement when it happened, but we didn't talk out specifics of like, that like weight and length and stuff like that. But
Christine's not exactly comfortable with you knowing how long her baby is, but maybe how much it weighs. We'll have to just check in with her. So
right. But everybody's doing really well. And I actually wanted to take this moment to put out a request for everybody listening. If you want to send in well wishes for Christine and Peter and just their new family, feel free to head on over to ttapodcast.com and click on contact the show and write whatever you'd like. I'm not going to read it out here on the show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compile it all into an email and send it to her so that while she's on maternity leave, she'll be able to, read all of your well wishes. So yeah, with that, we talked about this months ago, but with that, the ground floor of the TTA babies list is now done. Like that is, we have a TTA's babies list because people have talked about how many kids they've had during the course of this show existing. And so we started making a list of TTA babies, and you wanted to get in on the ground floor, you could, but now you can't. Ground floor's done. Grant was the last one. So
you know
that's
what?
the rules here.
Listen, I don't know what exactly is happening with whatever. I don't know what you got. You listening to this right now, tell me. You just like help me. What's going on? There's lists of babies.
There's a deep lore. There's a deep lore going on here. There was going to be a list of.
I'm real happy for you guys. Whatever you're doing, you seem to all be enjoying it, and I am so happy you let me in the inner sanctum of the baby list. Ground floor.
There might be a wiki or something out there that'll sum it up.
I'm thrilled. I got to appear on the podcast before the ground list of the baby floor. The baby ground floor list. I got to be on the podcast before that happened. That's a milestone for me.
And will there be another floor of the TTA baby list? I don't know. We don't plan that far ahead here on the show. We just go, do our own thing.
Go our own way.
So let's talk about Disney. Disney news. We've got plenty. Well, we've got some. We got some interesting stuff here. Have you read about this Jungle Cruise lore, Dan? Disney released artwork in fictional Q&A for the, sort of background of one of the new characters in the Jungle Cruise revamp, Alberta Falls, who is the granddaughter of Albert Falls.
Yes, this is interesting stuff. There's going to be... Well, you want to run through all the stuff that they kind of revealed?
Sure. I read through it last night, and
spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers for the Jungle Cruise, I guess. It doesn't seem I don't know.
I think the cat's maybe a little upset with you about how passive aggressive you are towards Jungle Cruise fans.
Why am I being passive aggressive towards Jungle Cruise fans? We just don't
the
know
way
a lot.
I was like, spoilers, bro. And you're like, yeah, spoilers for the Jungle Cruise, I guess.
We don't know. That's the key. We don't know anything. Is this going to tie into the movie? We don't know. Is this going to tie into that rumored Society of Explorers and Adventurers show that Ron Moore may or may not be working on? We don't know. It's like we got one piece to a puzzle, but we don't know. We didn't know there was a puzzle before this. And maybe there still isn't a puzzle. Maybe the piece is the puzzle.
Yes, right. Perhaps this is the thing. I spent an inordinate amount of time when this thing was released trying to figure out why the top of the paper said the Daily Anus before I realized that I had my dyslexia and the strange font just really like hit my brain hard.
What was the paper actually called?
The Daily News. You have to Google it real quick. Just type in the Jungle Cruise, Alberta Falls, and you'll see the top of the page. It's like, I don't know.
It was interesting that they, okay, yeah, it's the font, really.
Yeah, and then my ADD dyslexic brain then looks at the A right underneath the G, and because that looks like a C, it's a G, it's a ganoose. I don't like.
Right.
My brain doesn't understand that word, and so it's just like, well, let's just find other letters and see if we could just put them up there. That's dyslexia, folks.
It's definitely I could see where this could happen. You said Daily News, and I thought like the Daily News, not GNUS.
Yes,
news.
Yeah.
But what little we got out of this, I thought that was interesting, was apparently Albert Falls went missing and they're looking for him.
Right.
Will that play into the ride or the movie or the show? Who knows?
What's so interesting to me is, and the only reason why this is fresh in my brain is because I just watched the Haunted Mansion movie, like last night. I watched it, and I'm thinking about
not for the podcast, I'm sure, just because that's what you do.
That's for my Foolish Mortals podcast.
No, not for that. It's you just like the Haunted Mansion. You're a big Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion.
Well, here's the thing, Rob. I had never seen it.
Oh,
and so. I mean, like, there's just it's actually a really problematic movie right now. It's a really problematic movie, and Disney's, I think, just praying no one watches it because they're all just like, I heard it wasn't good because it's rough. The movie is rough. But the thing that I lament about the movie is that they didn't make it a period piece like Pirates. And kind of almost tie it into the same kind of universe as the Pirates lore, where it was just like it was just very connected and grounded instead of trying to be modernized about a real estate agent and stuff. And I'm glad that they're doing that with the Jungle Cruise, because automatically that's the part about Jumanji that's the reason why we love it, is because it's like a jungle Mission Impossible, you know what I mean? And so, or like a jungle national treasure. And so if they're going to give us that, a period piece jungle national treasure, this thing's going to slam because those things are so easy to write. You know what I mean? Like,
and they're just fun. It's a fun genre.
Yeah, it's fun. It's going to be really tremendously hard. And just by reading this and kind of the lore that they're building around it, I'm kind of getting a little hyped that they're actually putting thought into this. And they're not just like, making it about a real estate agent who wants to like buy a Jungle Cruise boat or something.
They want to buy a river. And no, I'm fully in agreement. And maybe it's really early to start even thinking about this, but I hope, because they're placing it there, it gives them the opportunity to open up a wider world with the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. And maybe even if it doesn't directly tie into it, but it introduces the concept so that they can later do like a Disney Plus show, that would be really cool. And just
Agreed.
I've seen some discussion over whether or not rides like this need this much backstory, but at this point where this attraction is 60 plus years old, conceptually, obviously the Disney World version isn't 60 years old, but like after that long, I feel like this is a good evolution of the ride.
Who out there is saying, do we need more world building? Because the answer is yes. The answer is always yes. I mean, usually, unless it's like 50 Shades of Grey, we're fine with 3 of those. We don't need any more of those. But I'll take more lore about the Jungle Cruise any day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to this revamp when it happens.
You know what I'm not looking forward to, Rob?
What are you not looking forward to?
Disney scanning my face.
Why? Okay, we're gonna get into it. This might be the whole episode because I'm very fascinated with this subject and how people are reacting to it. But why are you not in? Well, before we talk about whether you're into or not having your face scanned, why would it even be a concern at Disney, Dan? What's happening? That's your segue. That's your segue for the news thing. You say the.
Well, Disney's introduced an option test of facial. An option test? Is
optional?
That
sorry. Yeah.
Jesus, Rob.
These aren't meant to be read verbatim. These are notes. That's what the
Robert,
bullet points
this is
are
my
for.
second episode, and you're telling me now
this isn't a script.
We're 10 minutes into the second episode, and now you're telling me don't read your notes verbatim.
It's like cue cards.
Hey, you don't have to tastefully whisper at me that this was a segue, baby. I rolled into the segue, bro. Do you remember? With my windows down. You understand?
That was a good point. I retract my whispers.
Those bag scanners, the thing that everyone really wasn't talking about, but if you went onto the corporate website of the company who made those like bagless, those like bag scanners, the big selling point of the things was not that it can detect if you've got a big hunk of metal in your pocket. It's that it'll read your face and remember your face and then allow you to police the faces that the machine encounters. This thing was always a biometric scanner, and I mean, it's great. Hey, you know what? I rarely take a backpack, but Rob, I know you always do.
Well, so, wait a minute. Sure this is a different thing, though. This is not. You are right, though. The new metal detector security scanners that they're using at all the parks in Disney Springs has the capability of doing facial scanning, although it's not turned on at the moment. They're talking about they're doing a test of facial recognition not at the security point, but at the entering
at the magic band
point. Right. And it looks like it's a separate system where it's essentially the exact same thing you do with your finger, but instead of your finger, it's your face. And instead of pushing your face up against glass, it's just a camera. It's an optional test at the moment.
And the thing is, you're telling me that Disney is allowing people to sign into the park using just their eyebrows, and I still can't unlock my phone with my mask on? This is infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, it's
well. Just how does that work, Rob?
Well, so it is very much, jokes aside, it's very much similar to the way the finger scanning works, in that it's not like the Mission Impossible version you see in the movies where it's taking a photo of your face and somewhere on their end's a database of photos of faces and it's matching it up. What it does is it's picking a specific number of qualities about your face, and how many qualities or what qualities, that's the part we don't know and we're not supposed to know because that's the security element of it. And from those qualities, it's generating a string of data, and that is what is being tied to your profile. And so with the fingerprints, it does the same thing. It's not scanning your full fingerprint and keeping a photo of your fingerprint somewhere. It's looking at your finger for specific points, and from that creating this key. And essentially, because of, I guess, the way it works, you don't need the full face because they're making people keep their masks on when they get the scan. And maybe this is just like the ultimate stress test. If this works while people are wearing a face mask, then wow, it'll work perfectly without it. But yeah, it could be as simple as, scanning a point on your ear, how far your ears are from each other, or what angle they're at, the wrinkles on your forehead.
an AI is sitting inside of these computer scanners, and it looks at your face, Rob, and it's like, yes,
I mean,
I
yeah,
shall assign this human face a numerical number based on the length of its brow. And then
Kind
like
of,
it just
yeah.
is like it's just like LLR03KK4
yes, that's
human logged. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And then when you come back the next day and it scans your face again, it wants to try and recreate that string of numbers. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, that's when cast member raises their hand, and then they have to wait for somebody to show up, and then it takes forever.
Humans, I summon humans for help. This human's face does not trigger memories in my database.
Is this the Genie app's voice?
No. The Genie app's voice. The Genie app's dead. Let's be real. The Genie app isn't coming.
They promised the Genie app. They can't not deliver on the Genie app. They'll take my Disney experience and slap the words Genie app over it if they have to.
They sure will.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the fingerprint scanning. It's a twofold solution of keeping people who are banned from the park out of the park, and also making sure you're not passing along your, annual pass to your friend so that they can get in with it. It's making sure you're the one getting into it. But obviously, there have been plenty of people who are not comfortable with the idea of having their face scanned for a theme park. You seem to be one of them.
No. That was just a joke. I'm fine.
Oh, okay, you're fine.
Fully Minority Report me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get on the monorail and have it scan my eyeballs and then send me professional data about how long I was on the monorail.
Sell you pins and
Funko
Pops.
I want
and
pins
everything.
of the monorail waiting in my hotel room because of the way I blinked when I got on the monorail over in Epcot.
My takeaway from this is if you read this news and you feel a little uncertain, that's a good thing, because whenever tech like this is rolled out, you should question it a bit and do research and figure out if this is good or bad. But I think if you put in the 5 minutes to think about Disney and their use case of it and how things have been for years at Disney, you'll quickly realize it's not that big of a concern, because one, they're not keeping a databases of pictures everywhere. Two, if they were, that wouldn't be much different. How many people are going, they're getting into the park and they're getting a PhotoPass photographer to photograph their face, and then tying it to their account. They've been doing what they're doing here, but like in a less secure form for a decade.
I love the idea of I love the idea of people coming in, like opting out of having their face scanned, like at the TSA, so you get a pat down. But the equivalent of like a pat down by a human is like you're walked over to the face painting booth and they paint geometric shapes on your face to prevent the computers from being able to recognize you, like they were doing in Hong Kong.
Oh boy.
But you know what? Actually, this brings me to a more interesting thought. We won't need magic bands or anything soon. Like, you'll go on Splash Mountain and it'll just be like, human 4C76223 enjoys this water ride. I shall inform his personal device with a photo of him.
I'm going to be honest. That's a computer voice I don't trust, and I would kind of be a little worried.
What's up, bro? What don't you like about
tone where this voice might decide that we need to be, like removed from Earth or something? That's a robot uprising voice I don't fully trust.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But maybe if it was Siri, different story.
Is it because I have to hum a little bit to get into it?
Kind of. It's got that. It's like the robot equivalent of royalty, and off with his head.
Robert, your doubt in the computer faith does not make me feel well.
I don't mind if a computer scans my face. I mind if a computer scans my face and judges me. That's the thing.
How else will I assign you a random numerical value but to judge you based on your facial features?
See, don't like it. You make a good point, though. Like, we're getting to a point at Disney where between the Magic Band kind of being turned into just your phone and just all these other features that they're working into the park, it's just another element to that. It's no different. To not to say that there aren't going to be people who are against all of that, but if you're against all of that, your only solution is to not go to Disney, because once
Right.
you get into the parks, it's over. Like, they will have a photo
Yeah.
of you, and you
They get
have an
your
account, and they
fingerprints.
tie it to you. It's over. Yeah.
They know what your spit
Um,
tastes like. They just have all the information.
so why do this? I think the benefit's twofold. One, it's non-touch in a post-COVID world. You don't have to put your finger on anything. It's just your face. And two, you only have one face. So it's not like fingers where it's like, oop, I forgot what finger I scanned the first time I came here. Was it this one? No, that one. Is You just got your one face. So it'll
Wait,
speed
Rob,
things up.
are you? Wait, hold on, buddy. Are you? Is two on your 2-point bulletin list as to why this is a good thing? Is that you have 10 fingers, but only one? Is that honest to God your second bullet point?
My second bullet point was more along the lines of, you don't have 10 faces.
Oh, it wasn't that you have 10 fingers but only one face. Your point was more so that you don't have 10
have
faces.
10 faces. Yeah. You can't forget which face you used to scan the day before when you were in the Magic Kingdom. So that'll speed things up at least a little
Yeah,
bit.
tell that to Professor Quirrell.
Who's that?
Professor Quirrell, bro.
Is that that's the Harry Potter guy, right?
Yeah.
All right, I had
You
to
know how
dig
much
deep.
it pains me, and I know that you've at least seen the movies.
I
but you know
have,
how much
and
it
I've read
pains me
some
that
of the books.
the 20-year-olds, like, I was talking to future Dwight the other day, and I made a Harry Potter joke, and I was like, do you know who Harry Potter is? And he's like, not really. And I'm just like, what books have you been reading?
That's a fast transition of just pop culture.
He knows all the names of the minions, though. So
Okay. So what minion has more than one face? Because that would make a better analogy than
hey,
some
have
of our
you not
listeners.
seen have you not seen
Nope. I know what you're.
Despicable Me 2
Nope.
with the
Haven't
luchador with like the purple like bone crushing juice?
I have not.
Okay. Hey, this next thing on the list of news, I'm pretty stoked about, actually.
Yeah. We were just kind of talking about it. You're not going to need a Magic Band anymore. Because your phone is one. It's called Magic Mobile. Is it part of the Genie thing? No, we don't think so. But like Dan said, the Genie thing's probably just lost to in the halls of Disney.
What the Genie thing bottoms out at is just, it's going to be what Fast Pass turns into. It's going to be just like, here's my reservation. I think we literally just talked about this. Here's my reservation. Here's for my 6-day stay. I want to make sure I ride all 30 of these rides. And the computer's going to be like, don't worry. Don't worry. We will provide you with these ride attraction experiences.
When that voice says, don't worry, I specifically start to worry.
But from the moment I got an Apple Watch, I was saying out loud actively, why isn't there a Disney app?
Yeah.
Like watch, like add-on. It's just like a little plug-in. Come on, buddy. We could work on this, can't we?
And so they did. And now guests will soon be able to use their phone, their smartphone, or their Apple Watch in place of their Magic Band to get into the park. And I believe also do things like Fast Pass. Well, actually, no, I don't think there's any detail on that, because we technically haven't even gotten details on whether or not Fast Pass is ever coming back. So it's, I think, just getting into the park. And I think there was an article talking about the potential of using it for on-ride photos using your phone's Bluetooth.
Yeah, it's essentially just letting you do the use like that RFID, NFI, whatever in your phone, as the same thing that your Magic Band did. That little little coil of copper that you were wearing.
You've got it already, so it's less waste because you don't have to make another Magic Band. And
right after that guy implanted one in his arm too. I mean, tragic. That was like a
bad time.
I just waited 2 weeks. Yeah,
it's gonna be extra bad when they just phase out Magic Bands completely and they don't work. So yeah, I'm interested. It's funny. Once I moved down here, I stopped wearing a Magic Band because I was going to the parks often, and it was just not an accessory that I wanted to wear all the time. So I ended up getting a keychain and getting the little, the keychain dongle to put the puck in, and then I use that. Now I could just use my phone. Is perfect.
Oh yeah, I have Magic Band buddies, that I've loved. I don't well, you know what? I did wear my magic band because it was a haunted mansion glow in the dark one, and just it was fun on dark rides to have it like have my arm light up. But
Just go right into rave mode.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But usually though, quite honestly, I just I put my annual pass in that in like the visible like ID portion of my wallet, so I could just like tap my wallet on things. I just use my wallet.
That's smart. Yeah. So there's look, we already have all these solutions, and now we're going to have even more. And then people who still want to use a magic band, you can still buy it. Disney's not going to, shut down an opportunity for them to sell something. So that option there is there as well, at least for now.
You know what
And
though? So much better for the environment. I'm glad they're doing
yeah.
this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny when Magic Band 2.0 was revealed and their whole big selling point was you could remove the puck and mix and match. My thought was, oh, cool. So when you book a vacation, you get a Magic Band and that's it. That's your Magic Band. And if you want different bands, you go buy them, but you keep that for all your other trips. And then they just kept giving them out, and it just made no sense to me. And that's so much plastic that gets used. And I think anything that cuts down on that, Disney's making a big push for being more green and being more eco-friendly.
Seriously,
So
this
makes
app
sense.
is the equivalent of them not using lids and straws anymore.
Yeah. And like lids and straws, there'll be people who there might be a couple of like very legitimate reasons why you might need a straw or lid, but there'll also be people who just want it because they don't want change. And I find it funny that magic bands were like this added thing that helped make a trip easier. And they just seemed like when they were introduced very utilitarian, and now like almost kind of like Magical Express have become a part of the ritual for people, to the point where when this news broke, there are people who are like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like wearing magic bands was part of the fun of it all. And like credit to Disney to be able to take something like that. Like, oh yeah, we're just like selling. Imagine pitching the idea of the magic band system and be like, well, here's the thing. Everybody there needs to wear this band around their wrist. Like they had to have discussions about whether that was realistic or not. And they did it. And then people started to love doing it and using it to personalize it. And now that it's going away, they're sad. And I don't know. It's fascinating that Disney can do that.
Don't worry, everybody. There'll be something new to buy tomorrow.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to do an overlay on the facial scanning, right? So while the computer is giving you your number and judging you, you'll see yourself with like, I don't know, goofy ears or something. And then in 20 years, they'll get rid of that. And people will be like, oh, but my favorite part of the trip was when you get there and I look in the camera and I get turned into Mickey Mouse for 5 seconds. And that's how they do it.
Ooh, like Animorph style.
Yeah. And then you can buy that. You can buy that animated GIF for $5.
Yep, as an
I
animated
hate
tattoo on your shoulder.
I hate that I even thought of this idea. Let's move on.
Yellow Shoes, give us a call.
No Yellow Shoes. Please ignore that one. All right, let's do some Q&A. As mentioned last week, we're skipping the tournament until Christine returns. So we're just going to dive right into questions. And our first one this week comes from John Paul, who says, hi, Disney Raban. That's another thing. People like to combine names. So we're Disney Raban now. Roban? Robin?
Sounds like we're about to fight crime in an anime, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, we're superheroes. I want that art. Anyway, John Paul says, I've read through the lines that Bob Chapek is not a lot of people's favorite picks to take over as Disney CEO. What's your critique of Bobby Pasta Jr.? What are the concerns and what does he bring to the table compared to Bobby Pasta Sr.? Mikey Eisner, Ron, and Walter. Best wishes to Christine and welcome Dan.
Thanks, John Paul.
Do we like Chapek? Yes or no, and why? What are your thoughts on him?
Well, Bob Chapek to me always feels like that, like your high school wrestling coach that was just emotionally unavailable to any of the students, but had to teach gym. You know what I mean?
That's very specific. I can imagine it. I can't say I've firsthand experience. We didn't have wrestling classes at our school.
Well, no, he was the wrestling coach, but he was made to teach gym because they're not just like, we have to pay you a significant amount of money. You're gonna get benefits. You have to work. You know what I mean? You just can't teach kids to like wear leotards and get ringworm. I don't know anything about wrestling other than leotards and ringworm. So and so he had to teach gyms, but he just didn't want to do it. So he was just emotionally unavailable to all the students, and he just like didn't really engage with anybody. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Okay, so that's Bob Disney CEO Bob Chapek.
Emotionally unavailable wrestling coach.
All right. I don't have I certainly don't have a description like that. That's for sure.
Okay,
I don't know.
He's like the dad of he's like the worst case scenario girlfriend's dad.
In what way?
Because you come to dinner with him and you're like, what do you want from me, sir? Like,
Yeah.
your face doesn't work right, and I'm not exactly sure what you're looking at all the time. And I think all you really want to do is just to make sure that if I do marry your daughter, I'm just going to be the most profitable I possibly can be, and you're going to like do my taxes for me, and it's going to be super weird. Like, who are you and what do you want, sir?
I get that. That I can see that 100%. I think a lot of criticism against
I'm
him.
Dan, the king of analogies.
He is said to not be as super creative executive. Certainly not as much as, well, it's weird. Iger didn't really come across as super creative either, but I guess in comparison now he kind of seems that way. And neither, I feel like, sized up to Eisner, who was just like
Right.
weird. He was like the weird. If we're going to that family, if we're going with that family analogy, he's like the uncle who every time you go to a family gathering, he's got some new obsession that he's going to talk to you about for like 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah, they're both of them. Chapek especially seems very businessman about, man about town. And you just, and right, there's not a lot of artistic energy that's coming out. Like, I can't imagine him watercoloring lilies and crying while he's doing it. You know what I mean?
Well, also, like, let's just look back at the years with him, and this is the person who was running parks when we got the tents in Tomorrowland. Remember those? $700 a day to rent a tent with like
What?
soda. You don't remember this? It existed for like maybe a month or two, but they basically took space in Tomorrowland, like tucked back and away, and they set up essentially big tents, just very portable, very clearly, a non-permanent structure. And they put like an IKEA sofa in there and a little mini fridge, and they like tried renting it out for like $700 or $800 a day. And nobody really wanted it because it seemed like a ridiculous idea.
Businessman. Actually, I was I can't remember a while ago on Twitter I read someone did, and I think you and I've talked about this. Maybe we should do a collab on a video about this where we kind of like go through and rank the CEOs in terms of like what they actually contribute, like what the leaders of the parks contributed when they were the leaders, to contextualize like, okay, Bob Chapek was in charge when a lot of things like debuted, but those things went into development.
Right.
They've been in development for 8 to 9 years. So what kind of what was the legacy that Chapek left in the park? That's my question.
Which is one that it's also hard to answer, because how much of it comes from the head of the parks, how much of it comes from the CEO. Like, I doubt Chapek was the one who was going, well, we need a Star Wars land in here. That's more of a Bob Iger, call to make. That's a higher level, we just bought Star Wars for $4 billion. How are we going to get our money's worth out of it?
Right. But you know what? Chapek also feels like the kind of like that business scapegoat, if he needs to be, where it's just like, like if something goes wrong, the board will be able to be just like, this is what happens when Disney puts business in front of art. Yes, it was so true. Let him go.
Well, that's the weird thing, though. The weird situation we're in is that I think a lot of people would mostly agree that he's not like a creative leader. Even Iger, at the very least, he wasn't, I don't think, creative on his own as much as he was able to see where there was talent and then bought them, whether it was Marvel or Pixar or Star Wars or Fox. But yet at the same time, because Chapek he's riding Iger's wave of success, but also now he's going to be riding the rebound after COVID is over, that the Disney stock's doing fantastic right now, and
Yeah.
there's going to be
Yeah.
crazy demand for the parks, and so that board's going to look at him and go, "Oh, you're actually doing a great job." It may not be because of him, but all that matters is he's in that seat while things are going great, so he'll be fine.
Here's the thing. I don't need someone making decisions about Disney parks that would also be comfortable wearing the most expensive day ever shirt.
I don't think he would. I think he would be wearing a polo and he wouldn't be in the park half the day because he'd be on a business call, even though he's on vacation with his family.
Oh, he's
He'd be
golfing
in
the whole time.
he'd be in the hotel room just on a call, and it'd be like, "Why'd you come down here if you're just gonna be on business calls all the
Ew,
time?"
that's gross. Are there dads that do that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I've remember, and not just dads. It's not a gender thing too. I've seen moms do it where I go to the parks to hang out, and I remember once going during the Halloween night, Mickey's Not So Scary, and I was just eating, and I noticed this mom on her laptop doing work, and the two kids were just like, "Can we go do something?" But she was doing work in that moment, and hey, who knows, maybe there's an emergency situation or something, but there are absolutely instances of people who go on vacation and end up working
I
a large
don't
part of
need
it.
that energy in my life at all. I don't need to be at Disney World and to be taking a call from the president being like, "Hey,
I
what are the
feel
nuclear
so lucky I
codes?"
never had a job that even asked that of me, but I am
Right.
also the kind of person who'd be like, "No, I'm turning my phone off, so I'll answer your email tomorrow." But to go back to the topic of these CEOs, it's weird because you've got all of that on one hand. On the other hand, this retheme of the Jungle Cruise, maybe it doesn't fully count because it's not a new ride; it's a retheme. But there's no, like, I can't picture Iger being like, "Yeah, let's retheme the Jungle Cruise and not integrate it with another project." Why? Like, I feel like under Iger, there would definitely be a rock animatronic there, and I guess that's hard for me to even say because Iger's technically still
Does this mean the rock
executive
character
chair.
dies at the end of the movie?
Oh, that'd be rough.
Oh man.
No, I think Dwayne's got it in his contract. He can never die in any movie. That looks weak. Dying's weak, losing's weak. I don't know. Yeah, we have to see, because the other thing to add is, like I said, Iger's the executive chair, so he still technically has final say of how things are being run, and he's not giving that up until the end of this year, and so we won't get to see the true unrestrained Bobby Chapek until 2022, and that's when
part
we
of me
could start judging.
part of me wonders if they're redoing the Jungle Cruise ride as one of those like bank tactics to make the Jungle Cruise movie never appear profitable. It's like, well, to promote the movie, we had to renovate and then maintain a portion of an amusement park.
They promise too much, and they're like, we can't afford to pay The Rock and Emily Blunt, so we got to make this a failure of a film. Oh, and we've got extra news, by the way. That just reminded me. News dropped, and I didn't update these notes. Now that we're talking about films, did you hear that we're getting for free on Disney Plus Luca?
What is going on, Rob? Is it that Disney Plus was originally designed in mind for it was already pre-budgeted for like Pixar art house movies. Like that was just already part of the budget, and these other movies that were relying on box office that weren't part of the Disney Plus budget, they're charged. Like, what is the freaking distinction,
I
Rob?
genuinely have no idea, because I will accept that I was super wrong on this. I was convinced that Soul was the last free movie we were ever going to get, like theater to Disney Plus. I thought going forward it would all be premium VOD, which we also found out Black Widow and Cruella are both going to be day and date on Disney Plus as a premium purchase. I'm assuming for the same $30 that Raya was. And I thought that was going to be the model going forward. So the thought process behind putting Luca for free, I don't fully get it, because my thought of would have been, whenever people talk about premium VOD and its cost and the idea of a $30 movie, the selling point is, yeah, but if you're a family of four or something, that pays off, because to take your family to the movies is expensive enough that paying the $30 is worth it. So you'd think, if anything, this would have been the movie to do it with, and not like Black Widow, where, maybe you have more people who are just going on their own and they're going to go, well, $30 not worth it. So I don't know. I just don't know what their thought process is behind it. And I hope we get a book one day that peeks into it. Maybe they're still
Yeah.
experimenting and
Is
trying to figure
Luca the
out.
Disney Plus equivalent of extra magic hours?
Maybe they just somebody with a spreadsheet back there is thinking Luca wasn't going to perform well enough in a,
Right. Yeah. Like that's the
post COVID
I think
theater, and they're just like,
Mulan,
we need
man.
a.
I think Mulan really like drew the line in the sand for like, hey, if if these movies aren't, if like there's like a shred of a doubt that these movies aren't going to be received well, and you put a price tag on them like that, like people's brains aren't wired. They're just not wired to think that they're like that. They're just not. They just see it as a hassle, you know.
I guess it's just, yeah, I don't know. And that tells me what, then maybe they thought less people would be willing to buy Luca than they are to buy Cruella. That's weird.
I believe that. No, I believe that because Luca's a gamble. No, you don't know anything about it. Cruella is the Disney Channel original Joker Cinderella movie now. So like it's very accessible. It's a substitute teacher can play that kind of movie, you know, when the teacher's out. They can't play Joker, they can play Cruella, you know. So like it's like very accessible. People like that's a hot topic. It's gonna sell so much Cruella merch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the other thing to think about is how much of this could be them just trying to keep WB on their toes, because WB's putting out all their movies this year for free. So maybe this is a 1-year thing where they're like, well, we still want to stay competitive, even though they're easily leading, HBO Max in
It's
terms of
very true.
subscribers. Maybe they just want to say, well, we still need to throw our subscribers crumbs every couple of months so that they don't start thinking, well,
Yeah,
let's
but
get
it's
HBO
not like
Max instead.
they're already dumping movies after movies on that thing. Like every week there's a whole batch of new movies, like fully produced Disney Channel original movies. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
just pumping out without even talking about them, you know?
I don't know. This is such a fascinating topic, and one where I feel like we'll have more clarity years later when they finally talk about, like, there'll be definitely books about Hollywood during COVID and how it all changed, and this will be a chapter in it. And I'm looking forward to seeing their decision making. I'm also like super glad because I'm not like rushing back to the theaters, and so I'll definitely watch Luca. It's free. I'm pretty tempted to drop the $30 on Cruella because I want to see something that's stylized and weird. Oddly, the one that I thought would have been the easy option for me that I'm like most on the fence about is, would I want to pay $30 for Black Widow, or am I okay with just waiting 3 months to watch it for free?
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna get Black Marvel fatigue because of WandaVision. Uh, I mean, I know this wasn't the plan because if Black Widow had tied into like
Oh
WandaVision,
yeah,
like it would
totally
have
different
people
story.
they would have been able to charge $45 for it. But I think that you're going to get that you might get that Han Solo kind of Star Wars fatigue that happened where it's like, we can wait, you know.
Right. And it's coming out days, and I don't know, maybe this will actually help it. It's days before Loki premieres. So will there be people who go, well, I'll skip it. I'm getting my Marvel fix in a couple of days with Loki, or riding that hype for Loki, will they be like, I want something Marvel new. Yeah, I'll watch Black Widow. Go for it. Even if it's just for that post credit, or just the MCU and that fear of being spoiled. Like, admittedly, I can wait 3 months to watch Cruella because I'm not worried about being spoiled about it. But Black Widow, while we obviously know the fate of Black Widow as a character, because this is more of a prequel movie, there's still going to be that post-credit stinger, and who knows what that's going to say for the Marvel
It's going to be
universe. And
disappointing.
I hope not.
No, it's going to be. It's a fan. It's a prequel movie kind of thing. That is it's out of its time, right? It was isn't that technically still a phase 4 movie?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if they were smart, they would reshoot a stinger with like Catherine Hahn and like Tom Hiddleston making out, and that's just the stinger. Because then
And
every
then
news
that's
site would
just the
just be
show. That's
like,
the Loki show now. They reshot the whole Loki show. It's just that for 10 episodes.
can we talk about how I'm super stoked to see what they mess around with with Loki being DB Cooper. That has got me so tickled.
Such a cool idea. I never thought I was never like, I thought Loki was a cool character, but I wasn't like, I don't know. He was a cool character. That was it. I never had like a special affinity for Loki.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
he's fun. He's a villain you can kind of like because he's occasionally nice.
Right. And when they announced the show, I was like, all right, well, yeah, this is something for the Loki fans out there, which I know there are many. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, I am super down for this. This is between this and WandaVision, this is everything I could have asked for a Marvel TV universe is, different and just taking a chance on something to keep my interest levels up at a time where, not to spoil anything, I think the biggest strength of Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far is that there's a lot of it that focuses on the logistics and the real world element of the snap and people coming back from the snap. And that to me is that interesting element rather than everyone talks about the first fight scene. And I was like, that's the part I don't care about because I'll see that in a Marvel movie, in a couple of months and it's whatever. I'm done with that. It's all the weird stuff now I want. And Loki seems to offer that. Hopefully.
Yeah, Marvel, the MCU in general has slipped off the terrestrial plane and is now super cosmic and weird. And I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and they played the long game, but we're about to get some, like some Tim Burton type MCU movies, man. It's going to be a wild 10 years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Like WandaVision is a study in costuming in the MCU in that they desensitized us to very strong visuals with costumes. Like up until this point, quite honestly, you couldn't have put Wanda in that headdress thing and had it really sell. Everyone would just been like, girl, what's going on with your bangs? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there just would have been a lot of that, like, does this work? There'd be a lot of those articles like, does this work kind of nonsense. And but now it's like well, I don't know, I can't really say.
And I'm trying to think of if movies ever went down that road, because I think to like X-Men and Spider-Man, which started, I think, this age of Marvel, not Marvel, well, they are Marvel, but the age of superhero movies, and like it kind of set the tone for, well, yeah, look at the X-Men. They're all wearing like the black leather. It wasn't the X-Men from the animated series costumes. They specifically wanted to do something grounded, and we didn't get anything wild. And I'm like, was there a superhero movie that even went in that direction?
No, I mean, Brandon Routh Superman kind of gave us a real classic Christopher Reeves type Superman outfit, which was great, which was very like, campy and fun. But no, like they're not really everything. Christopher Nolan had to like set the stage for everything to be relatively grounded. I mean, you have things like, Electro and stuff like that, but still they're really leaning in now to some, I mean, because the thing is that now they're rolling with characters that are so visually striking because of their costumes, and you can't start to like make those things different. And that's the thing about over in the DC universe that is kind of jarring, is that they don't care about like the Snyderverse doesn't really care about easing you into some strong visuals, where the MCU really played the long game, and now we're just desensitized to Thanos looking things, and so now it's going to get wild. It's going to get wild.
It's gonna be fun. Did you dive into the 4-hour Snyder cut?
Yeah, I did. I watched the whole thing and I thought it was fantastic.
Nice. I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting for until I have 4 hours to set aside.
I watched it. I watched it in 4-hour chunks. I didn't. I watched it.
You watched it in 4 1-hour chunks. I thought 4-hour chunks. Like you rewatched it over and over.
Yeah, I only watched it about an hour at a time, and it's very episodic. Well, the thing is, it has chapters like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh,
and
perfect.
So you can watch a chapter at a time, and they really are very. And I'll tell you what, cyborg guy Fisher, whatever his name is, Ray Fisher, is that his name? You know what? All the right in the world to be as upset as he was, because it was essentially Justice League, the first cyborg Avenger or whatever. It was essentially, yeah, it was the Captain America first Avenger kind of. It was his movie. It's his movie. which is
Well,
really great.
I'll have to check it out. I'm interested in seeing how it is. I haven't seen the theatrical cut, so I'm going in blind.
Oh,
But
really? You haven't seen the theatrical cut?
no, I mean honestly, I was pretty middle of the road with Man of Steel, and then with Batman vs Superman, I didn't particularly like it, but I also didn't have a strong hate for it either. And so when it came to Justice League, I was just like indifferent and never saw it. And now that it's there and it's free to watch, I'm willing to go. Like I probably wouldn't go to the theater to see this, but since it's there, I'm willing to check it out. And I for as much flack as Zack Snyder gets as a director, like I really liked Watchmen. I enjoyed 300 when it came out, so I want to give him a shot.
Yeah, it's so funny. The thing he did with Watchmen is arguably the thing how he manipulated the story of Watchmen, and maybe it was the studio, who knows. But like, it's funny that he's kind of rolled in back into the Justice League and kind of fix, like, if he were to remake the Watchmen into a new movie, he would like reintroduce the squid at the end and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh, we'll take
Huh.
it back to like because like he really dived into some lore. I mean, it's still a messy movie. It's messy, but
Right.
it's a tremendous improvement on the first one. I almost want to say to you, watch the original before you, like, it's worth it. It's worth watching how much of it's just like, I can't believe how much Joss Whedon changed and for what reason. Primary photography was done. Anyway, I'll shut up.
That's for our WB podcast. We don't have one of those. All right, so that's going to do it for the Q&A this week. If you have a question or a topic idea that you'd like Dan and I to discuss in future episodes, head on over to ttapodcast.com and click on Contact the Show. Last week, we were talking about Space Mountain and what you would do with Space Mountain, whether it's keep it exactly the same or gut it and change it completely. And you all have thoughts on it? So Andrew B writes in and says, "You're going to hate this, but for years I've wanted a more extreme version of Space Mountain to replace the current coaster. The logistics of actually building it would be a complete nightmare, if not completely impossible, due to the closed roof, but I think the space could fit either an RMC single rail coaster or an Intamin multi-launch." These are terms that coaster people use. I don't know coasters as well as coaster people. This is sure to be a hit with Taylor of Coaster Studios, and I think the Magic Kingdom could use a true big thrill attraction. Also, since onboard audio is great, we're going to have Intergalactic by Beastie Boys playing on a space-themed coaster because it's too perfect. What do you?
I agree. The great choice for music.
I don't know now how I feel if the robot agrees. Now I'm worried. Robot would override the ride
I do
and make it
agree.
even
We need
more
a fancier coaster in there. I think a fancier coaster would be cool.
Or you do like a mini. It's tough. We're gonna get Guardians, and that's gonna be the really long and elaborate coaster, supposedly. And then you got Tron. That's gonna be a thrilling coaster. So I'm thinking, what can we do that's different from those two that you could put in there? I don't know. We talked about this already, though. I'm rambling.
Andrew Oliver says, I think that Disney should demolish the roller coasters in Space Mountain. They are so old and bumpy. I would keep the show building and build a new coaster that is designed like Disneyland's with 2 rides per row and onboard audio. So this guy's just like, let's just tear down new Space Mountain to build old Space Mountain.
Yes. Bring over
Which
the
I'm
other
really here
Space
for.
Mountain.
I really appreciate that Space Mountain is a family-friendly coaster. I'm not a thrill seeker, and so I really enjoy it. Disneyland has Ghost Galaxy and Hyperspace Mountain overlays. I would like Disney to design a new Space Mountain to have multiple overlays throughout the year. I could get behind that, Andrew, 100%.
Totally.
I think they need to have overlays on a lot of things. Mickey's Runaway Railway needs an overlay, a seasonal overlay. Like,
yes,
come on.
100%. You're going to use that tech, then use that tech.
Disney can use projection mapping technology and have screens strategically placed throughout the ride, and Disney can design variations for different seasons of the park or Disney Plus shows or whatever is popular at the time. So you want to turn Space Mountain into the pinnacle, like sci-fi black box ride, which I am actually not. I mean, I think that's great. Let's get the team together. Yellow Shoes, get them on the phone. Imagine if for the Boba Fett series, Disney used footage from the series to create a narrative on the ride through screens in the queue and on ride using the score from the series. I think it's a great idea, Andrew.
It also works in a land where there is no narrative to the land. So yeah, it can be it could be a Star Wars ride one month, and I don't know, Firefly ride the next. Hey, they own it now.
Hey, this ride keeps changing. Yeah, baby, it changes every day. The next day, you know what that's called? Tomorrowland, where there's a new ride in the future
Did you just
waiting for
write
you.
the radio ad for the new Space Mountain? I say just permanently do you've done the Christmas one, right? Have you done that one?
Yeah.
It's wild. I love that. That's my favorite version of Space Mountain. Forget
So
Hyperspace Mountain.
you're saying just turn Space Mountain into like one of those 365 Christmas boutiques?
Yeah, and just and slash rave, because that's what it is. It's just an assault, a visual assault on your eyes of lights, along with like techno Christmas music, and it's wonderful. And it's, what I described it as when I was talking to family and friends. It's like the scene in Willy Wonka where they're going down the river and it starts to get psychedelic and scary. It's like that, but Space Mountain.
Yeah. That's so true.
Jacob, I hate this virus Martin says, my answer to fixing Space Mountain in Walt Disney World is rather simple. First, retrack the whole thing. Have either Vekoma, Disney's current coaster company, or Dynamic Attractions, they did the California retrack the entire thing, keeping the layout as is. Just as an aside, I love that there is, in the enthusiast world of theme parks, an even more specific coaster enthusiast world that knows all the companies. And this is my way of seeing what I must look like to people I know who are not into Disney, when I'm just
Absolutely.
like, I've never heard of these companies. I don't know what any of this means. Second, add new trains. Visually, they would look the same and have the same seating, but the rocket on the back could look more realistic, and they would add one more thing. Third, onboard audio. Since Tron, I'm losing my place here. Since Tron is moving in next door at the amazing music of Daft Punk, rest in peace, Daft Punk, 1993 to 2021. I wouldn't go as far as 2021. I think they haven't done anything in a while. Space Mountain should follow that. I've made a soundtrack for this exact situation.
Rob, what are you saying? So that so that people's tombstones should show the last date that they just did something instead of they actually died?
Well, they didn't die.
Pretty sure Daft Punk I'm pretty sure that Daft Punk exploded themselves this year. You're just like, I don't know.
They exploded themselves with old footage, which itself says something. That they just used old footage from an old video. Whatever. Neither people are going to point out like some song they helped co-produce in 2020 to prove me wrong, and I will accept it. So he said I had submitted it for a segment, but then a pandemic hit, so I'm just going to bring it up now, and I'll post the link in the show notes so people can go check it out. But yeah, retrack new vehicles, so it's very much like an update, but keep it classic, add little touches here and there.
I love that.
Yeah. So our last bit of feedback has nothing to do with Space Mountain. It says, Taylor writes in and says, hey, TTA, I've just caught up on about 100 episodes, and I just have to say, that's so much of me and Christine, I can't even begin to imagine.
Don't you feel a little insecure knowing that like 100 hours have been pumped into this poor person's brain of your voice?
By the time I'm done editing this episode, I'm usually tired and done with my voice, so I can't imagine listening to more than one back to back. But they write in and say, now that I'm back, congratulations on over 200 episodes, and to Christine for her baby boy. I wanted to say that your ideas for a podcast about the snap felt like it eerily predicted the actual plot of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Semi-spoiler alert, the therapy sessions, financial implications, getting back into the dating scene, etc. Take out the usual Marvel action sequences, and it's basically just two normal, somewhat emotionally stunted dudes dealing with the implications of being dead for 5 years. Your psychic powers are back at it again. Have a gibbet. Yeah, I mean, it's what's making the show interesting to me, is all that stuff.
Can you imagine, like, the software that would have to be built to forms would change for that. That's the biggest thing that blows my mind. It's like date of birth, and then there'd have to be like a checkbox next to date of birth. That's like but do the people know it was a snap, or do they call it like a dust? Like I want the Muggle equivalent of what the what people are calling the snap in
the
like
legalese, the legalese version of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I definitely want the legalese, 100%. You know what? Just give me an MCU lawyer show. Oh, I think that's just called Daredevil. That sounds great. Let's just get that back on Disney Plus and in production.
The
Daredevil
whole
in
show is him in the office because he has no time to fight crime because he's just so backed up with paperwork from all these issues that have come up from the snap.
Oh my God. I would absolutely love if at some point they just introduce that guy into the MCU. Full powers. We get him one time for like a 3-minute montage, and then every time they call him, he's just like, guys, I'm in court.
I'm on a recess right now. I
But
can't
Daredevil,
talk
it's
for
2 a.m. It's like, hey, have you ever heard of Night Court?
Do you think there's one person who out there just went AWOL for 5 years and totally used the snap as an excuse when they came back? It's like, oh yeah, I was snapped too. Wow, what happened these last? But they were just like on a boat somewhere, just trying to avoid their taxes or something, or
Yeah.
start a new family, or
But think about being 45 but only being 40.
Yeah,
That's pretty rad.
yeah, no,
Sign me up for that.
How many people would get judged like, oh, they only look young for their age because they were snapped?
But I'm thinking that, like, okay, canonically in my brain right now, I'm gonna think that the Twitter, TikTok, like social media slang for people who got snapped would be busters, because it'd be like they turned to dust, so they like dusted, they're dusters, but then everyone would like rhyme it, you know what I mean? Like it would turn into like a thing, be like dust busters, and then just call them busters. And so my word now for people who were snapped are called busters. That's my
Okay.
muggle equivalent for the
I'll
MCU.
go with that.
Busters.
Busters. That sounds cool.
Yeah, you one of them busters? Yes,
I'm a buster.
I've been gone for 5 years.
And that's why all my jokes are bad. I've lost all sense of pop culture references for the last 5 years. So excuse me, I'm a buster. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us this week. Question of the week. I guess we could do let's see. Let's just get your feedback on the facial scanning. Comfortable with it? Yes, no, why not? Let us know. Head on
Call
over to
me when they're
TTA
going to put
Podcast.
my face in one of those like Obama portrait scenarios. You know, like they took a bunch of pictures of him, like with like robots or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like 3D
Yeah.
scanning.
Call me, Disney, when it gets to the point where I can just put my face in a tube and like it like blast my face with light, and then you just send me memories that you want me to have with my face put on.
They will add you into it.
Because quite honestly, what is a memory other than just remembering the idea of a thing? So like, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Just give me some jib jabs. Give me jib jabs of all kinds of character meet and greets, and I'm fine with that. That works.
You know what's fascinating? We're long past the era of it, yet the technology is perfect for it today. That era of where part of the amusement was, oh, let's throw you in front of a green screen and put you in the movie. And like they did it at MGM, they did it at Epcot. It was just like there was something novel and fun.
Zoom.
Now it's like Zoom, but also like they have the tech where they could do something really impressive where it's like, oh, you like little Timmy could go become an Avenger and we'll put his face over Iron Man's face.
Yellow Shoes, get us on the horn. We have got an idea, bro. I love that. Yeah. We're like, I was at Disneyland when they had the Marvel exposition up at like where Carousel of Progress was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where it was the Stark exposition. And I gotta say, it was they actually were doing some cool stuff like that, Rob. You could like do some like Iron Man suit up stuff. It was really cool. It was cool.
Well, that's all I want. I want to scan my face and become Daredevil as he's in court at 3 a.m, just stress eating like middle of the night lunch because he's got court in the morning again. So that's just all I want. That's what I want to be. I want to be stressed Daredevil.
As if his life wasn't stressful enough as is. Like you're just like, hey, I have a question. I have a question for the week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I might just buy a cotton candy machine. What characters do you think would best be represented in cotton candy?
Send it in, ttapodcast.com. Click on contact the show. If you want to leave a voicemail, you could do that by heading on over to 1516. Nope, that's not a website. You don't head over to a phone number. You could call us at 1516-900-4628. Dan, what's going on your channel this week, or what do you got in the pipeline? What do you want to promote? Where can people find you on the internet?
Well, keep an eye out on my channel for my first big fancy influencer video. It's exciting.
Ooh.
But then also keep an eye out, because soon, The World According to Goofy, Disney's truly strangest parade that they've ever created. I have a little bit of a reaction video to that coming up.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. That's one of the weirder ones from Charity Land. Where can they find your videos?
Disney Dan on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Find me everywhere.
And I just put up a video where I talk about how many bodies of water are at Disney World, and talk about retention ponds and dry ponds and ditches and canals and all the fun logistics of how water plays a part at Disney World. And if you like that kind of weird stuff, well, you know by now that that's what I do a lot of on the channel. You can find it at Midway to Main Street. I'm working on a video about a amusement park about the Wizard of Oz, all about the Wizard of Oz in North Carolina, of all places. So keep an eye out.
Place for it. You know what? It's funny. We're comparing Chapek to like that weird uncle. You're like the one uncle that's always folding a map.
Always. You know what I don't own that I've always wanted to own? A globe.
Hey, you know what's crazy?
What?
I was just thinking the same thing.
Right? You need space for it, though. That's the thing.
Let me
You need
level
space
one.
for a
Let
globe.
me level you up. Let me plus up your globe idea. You don't just need a globe, bro. You need a globe bar.
A globe bar? Wait, like a bar with a globe on it?
Like a globe bar. Google it. You know what I'm talking about. As soon as you see one, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm an idiot for not understanding."
Globe? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. The ones that open up and you put all your bottles in.
I have a couple on my list, and I'm currently working with a woodworker. I'm gonna buy one and then skin it to look like Spaceship Earth.
I wonder if there's a service where you can get a custom globe made, and I can get like a globe that's just Disney World, which makes no sense because Disney World's not spherical, but it doesn't matter. Just the idea of that's
Rob, I
the
love
detailed
when you
map.
start putting two and two together.
That's what I want. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Take it away, Dan.
Have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, everybody.